Okay. B'Shem Hashem na'aseh v'natziach. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Eitan, let's do it. We're on the last page. Rav Wolbe says that the right way to learn, just finishing up the first chapter of Alie SHUR, those that want to follow, it's page Chavav. It says that only somebody that's learned the basic commentaries of the Gemara, right? Rashi, Tosfos, the Rambam, should go to the later commentaries, like Rav Chaim. It's very important for us to become a Torah scholar, to be in a good environment. One of my great Rabbis, the president of my Yeshiva, the Menahel, the administrator of the Yeshiva, Rav Shafton Nurger, says the Yeshiva is made up not so much by the Rabbis, but by the student body. You understand, Nate? Eitan, student body makes the Yeshiva greater than who the teachers are. You understand? So therefore, Rav Wolbe says over here, it says in Gemara Ksubas that Rabbi Akiva's story. So what had happened to Rabbi Akiva? Rabbi Akiva's father was a great Talmid Chacham and a super rich guy. What happened was, since Rabbi Akiva was an ignoramus, he banished him from all his wealth. He said, yeah, it was his father-in-law. His father-in-law was so rich that if somebody was as hungry as a dog, because you know in the ancient days, we just learned this in the Daf Yomi last night, dogs used to be very abused and people didn't used to feed them. He said if you would be as hungry as a dog, you hadn't eaten in 3 days, if you go to Kalbo Sawa's house, you'd come out satiated like you had the super deluxe festive meal, like all you can eat. So it says, the Gemara says that
Rabbi Akiva himself, he's a convert, no?
No. His ancestors is like, I think his grandfather or father. But I want to tell you something amazing with Rabbi Akiva. Unkulus was a convert. But the thing with Rabbi Akiva is in Halchot Nedarim, Rav Wolbe brings a beautiful idea. He says, after they told Kabbalah Sabua, you made a promise, you made a neder, a vow that Rabbi Akiva can't have any benefit from your money, but he's the greatest teacher of Torah in the world. He has 24,000 students. So they came to annul, do hafarat nedarim, right? Hafarat nedarim is annulling a vow. So the Gemara says, they asked Kalbo Savua, did you make a neder? Like our good friend that always talks about neder. Did you make a neder?
And if you would have known.
Yeah.
You would have known.
Would you made such a neder for him not to have Hassan, he made a worse neder. He said asur b'hana'ah. Heaven forbid he should have any benefit from my property. But they said, did you know if he would have become such a great Torah scholar, would you made such a neder? He said no. But Tosfot there asks, Halo asur liftoch ben nolad. Okay, there's two ways to annul a neder. It's very important, by the way, guys. Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, if you want to be part of a Bet Din that does Hatarat Nedarim, the three people, you have to know this at basic halacha. The Ritva brings this in Nedarim. And that is, there's a difference between Petach and Charata. Petach is you were missing information, right?
Yeah. Like you didn't know Rabbi Akiva would become a Talmid Chacham.
Exactly. Charata is you just saying, I can't do it. It's too hard for me. I regret it. But Tosfot asks, there's halacha, you can't make a petach benolad, which means the circumstance of petach had to have existed when he made the neder. But when he made the neder, Rabbi Akiva didn't have the 24,000 students. So how did they annul? You get what I'm saying? Kalba Sabua is neder through petach, but they're being potech benolad. And at that specific time, Rabbi Akiva was not this grand master of all teachers of Torah. So Tosfot says a very amazing thing. He said when Kalba Sabua had made the neder, already Rabbi Akiva he had promised his wife to go to yeshiva. So it says, He says it's not a petach. You know why? Because when Kalba Sabu had made the neder already, Rabbi Akiva had promised his wife to go to yeshiva, and whoever goes to yeshiva becomes a great person. So even from the beginning it was, you understand? Because the halacha is, petach means I was missing information. But that's only if the information was missing at the time, not if the information became a new thing. You understand? Nolad is like a new thing that just developed recently. But it says it didn't develop recently. You know why? Because it says whoever goes to yeshiva is going to become great. So he says, Rav Voba, I heard this when I was in the yeshiva mir from him. He said, Ashrei mi shekach muftach lo. He says, Chazal, the Gemara is guaranteeing us a great thing. That it's the natural tendency of somebody that goes to yeshiva, makom tere, to learn that he's going to become what? Eitan, after this, you're going to have to teach me how to share this live. So it says, Shlomo Leib, after I'll, I don't know how to do it right now. So it says, Ulam kasher zu aderech noda la ken keta lekalkel limudot lechol nefesh katnut. He says, that's why Chazal are promising us that if you use the right system and you use the right approach when you learn Torah and you go to a Makom Torah to learn yeshiva, you're going to become a great Torah scholar. So he said, I had this saying many years ago, 25 years ago. I said, we're as great as our goals. If God forbid you have small goals in life, you're going to become small, right? But if you have the, how do I press, Eitan, want to come back here? How do I press the share button? Guys, I know everybody's asking for me to share the class. We're going to try to share it. Where's the share button? I don't see any share button here. Oh, maybe this? One second. I think this is share.
No, that's not it.
Okay, guys, we'll do it later. I don't want to destroy the flow of the class. When I do Mishnah. So anyways, it says, basically, when you start your endeavor to learn Torah, Eitan, you shouldn't go from meagerness. Be small. You should know the sky's the limit, because Tosfot teaches us, Rabbi Akiva, since he was already on his way to yeshiva, it wasn't nolad, it wasn't a new development, right? It was already that he was going to become great. He was destined for greatness. You get what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So he says, if you use the right formula of learning, like we said, to repeat the chapter, to learn and review your learning, you're destined to become great. So every time you learn, you have to come with the philosophy, what, Eitan? Can you share it? That we have to come with the philosophy that what? That I could be great. I could become a tremendous Talmid Chacham. And this is the natural development if I don't learn improperly. If I do the right technique of reviewing my learning and this, I'm going to become great. And my bottom line is to come to the truth. So it says, and what's our goal from learning, guys? I'm going to give a whole shir on this because my Rosh Yeshiva, Rav Weinberg, was...
He's already saying for the viewers to share the video, not the rabbi.
Okay. So he says, the idea is like this, that we have a goal when we study Torah. That's to finish all of Shas and know all the halachic ramifications, which the Rambam did us a favor by writing the Rambam, right? Because now we have to learn the Torah and Bet Yosef. But that's the grade. To know it all, to learn it all, and actually retain it in our head. It's possible. I was just learning this last night. I'm reading the autobiography, the Art Scroll biography of the Chazon Ish. He says it's clear that Torah was not given to geniuses. Any Jew, if there's a will, if he really wants to, he could know all of Shas, not necessarily all the Gemara, but all the halachic. Because how could God want you to do a halacha if you don't know the halacha? How are you supposed to carry out the Torah the right way? Obviously, it's within our brain power to do what? To know every single halacha. Rav Yisrael Salanter says the biggest mistake the Shulchan Aruch made was because he made it 4 different volumes. So everybody just studies Mishnah Berurah, but they don't realize there's another 3 volumes to the Shulchan Aruch. Choshen Mishpat, where we're lucky we have Rabbi Eli. He's becoming a dayan. He's Baruch Hashem, even though he's there with us, he's going to finish his program there. And the thing is, we have our capacity to know Kol HaTorah Kula, like Rav Chaim Kanievsky. Now, it doesn't mean not everybody is Rav Chaim Kanievsky, but the basic... The Rambam writes this also in his Hakdama. He says it's within the capacity... Lubavitcher Rebbe said the same thing. The Rambam says the Gemara has so much back and forth that it makes you confused, right? So what am I doing it for you as a favor, Eitan, the Rambam says? He says, every conclusion in Shas, I'm going to give you the conclusion of all the Gemaras, right? And the Rambam says it's within every Jew's power to learn these and review this and know the entire Torah. He says by learning the entire Yad HaChazaka, you're gonna know the entire Torah. You understand? And oh my God, I taught Alie SHUR about a dozen times, but I didn't look. I didn't see this. I love Rav Wolbe, but now I even love him more. You see over there what he says, the last words there, Eitan? He says, Benister. Not only, Chacham Ben Zion parenthetically has a beautiful, beautiful essay on this. He says, not only do we have an obligation to learn all the Rambam, all the written, revealed Torah, but even the hidden Torah, all the Kabbalah and Zohar. He says, and by the way, why do you go to yeshiva? You know what it is? Why are you learning with me? The Rebbe's goal is to learn, to teach you how to learn. You know why? Because once you learn how to learn, even if you don't have a chavrusa, if you don't have a Rebbe, you could figure out everything on yourself, right? So that's what your goal is, to learn how to learn. Okay, let's just do one more paragraph. We're going to start the second chapter here. It's so appropriate because last week we were learning about the mitzvah. Eitan, do you know one of the 613 commandments, according to the Rambam, and that's the halacha actually, because we follow the Rambam, even the Kabbalists follow the Rambam's Taryaga mitzvot. One of the 613 is we have to daven every day. How do we know that? Do you know what the source of that is? Ula ovdo, it says in Vayam Shamo and Shema, Ula ovdo b'chol avavchem u'b'chol nafshechem. Right? We have to serve God with all our heart and all our soul. So the Gemara says, how do you serve God with all your heart and soul? Through what? Through prayer. I actually saw from the Gra. The Gra says, just like Talmud Torah, by learning Torah, do you know we have 613 sinews and organs, and each mitzvah rectifies one of those? By learning Torah, it rectifies all your sinews, and organs of your neshama. Tefillah, I didn't know this. The Gra says tefillah, if you daven with the right way, it is so powerful that it's going to make your whole neshama, all the 613 different parts of your neshama, it's going to elevate it and attach it to what? God. So it says, Gemara says, Arba Avos Nezikin. Do you ever learn Bava Kama the Mishnah? Yeah. So Mav'eh, what's Mav'eh? Mav'eh says one of the mass categories of damages is a human being. Gemara says, why does it call a person a Mav'eh? Why not say Adam? Gemara says, because it's based Amarav, Dichtiv Shomer Ata Boker V'gam Laila Im Tavun Ba'ayun. In Yeshaya 21, it says that we want and we want. So Rav Wolbe says, Harem Ba'ayam Ilashon Ba'ayu Hainu Tefillah. What's the essence of a person? There's no atheist in a foxhole, Eitan. In the end of the day, there's going to come a point in a time in your life where you're so frustrated, I don't care if you're atheist, you're fake. Just like they say like, there's a famous song where they went to the atheist convention and then they were coming back, their airplane was about to blow off, right? Because it had a malfunction, and then everybody was praying, right? Because when you're in the 9th inning and your airplane is about to blow up because it has a malfunction, everybody's going to be praying to God. So it says, as a human, in the Gemara, Mav'eh, the 4th category in Baba Kama is referred to as a person that's seeking to pray, to connect to God. So this is the essence of a human being. Rav Wolbe says, Zehu Hagdarat Adam. This is how we can identify a human being. Shom Mitpalel. And we're so lucky that in our time we have Rabbi Nachman of Breslav's Torah. That it's the natural tendency and nature of a Jew should be every second you should be talking to God. You know why? Share him your problems, talk to him, because he's your Father in heaven. You're never alone. You understand? David says, Hashem ro'i lo ichsar. We have a shepherd that's looking upon us, right? He's our shadow. He's with us all the time. So therefore, it says, he says, what makes man great? What's man's glorious achievement? His finest hour, which defines him, Eitan.
How do you translate Matzmeli?
Matzmel is the symbol of Adam. The epitome of man is what? For him to connect to his Creator through prayer. You understand? So Rav Wolbe here in Alie SHUR, Perek Sheni says, there's nothing more symbolic and essential of the soul of a person than to pray to God. You get? He says, he says, man to be a man of society, to build houses, to be a warrior, to work, that's not your essence, Eitan. For you to pray is your essence. That's why in our most desperate times, what do? Maybe that's the whole reason for COVID-19. For God, for us to not be comfortable, to realize that we need to pray to Him, to cry out our Father in heaven. So it says, even animals could develop a very sophisticated society. Even ants, the most unsophisticated of life beings, right? They have a whole animal farm, right? They have a whole ant farm where they have the queen and this and that. Society, mankind's greatness is he's able to connect to his what? His Creator. That's his most glorious achievement. That's why in Bava Kama, because Mav'eh is the person that's seeking to connect to God. See, people, they go by Gucci and Versace and they get, they pay video games, stupid stuff. But man in his essence, the soul always, right? A son, even Obama realized this, a son is always wanting to connect and please his father. You understand? That's why, how do we please our Father? How do we connect with God? Through prayer. So it says, and that's why when we talk to God, it's like we get to this, Moshe was panim el panim, face to face. When we stand up and say our Shemona Esrei, we can climb the ladders of holiness. If you say Patach Eliyahu and you meditate and you go mikveh and you really, really work on yourself, the Rambam says prayer is your body, your clothing is like you could take off your body and your neshama elevates and is in a different world. You're taking, that's why it's asur to walk in front of somebody davening, right? Tefillah, that's why I believe with every fiber in my being, the reason why in California still the COVID is so thin, because Rav Chaim Kanievsky said, the reason we're still not allowed to be in our shuls is because people didn't respect tefillah. They were on their cell phone. And I think there's no question in my mind that we weren't serious enough. That's why this gezerah still exists. Belashon atah ze nachalat adam. What's the greatest heritage of man? Right? Man's greatest legacy given to him by God. The greatest gift of God given to man is for him to be able to go say Shemona Esrei and say, Atah, God, I'm talking to you face to face. You're my Father. I need X, Y, and Z, and all these things from you. So the essence of a human being is of his ability to shut off his cell phone, shut off all his problems, talk to his Father in heaven, and be able to go to this. He really, when we daven, when we tefillah, we're able to like a supersonic what do they call it? the astronauts that they go,
And Rafi?
the space shuttle. We're able to fly to a different dimension, a spiritual dimension of talking to God. Thank you everybody for listening. Shalom al kol Yisrael.